a ground invasion of Iran? Is that something that you think is possible, and what might that look like?
This would be the mother of all fool's errands if the United States elected to send ground troops in. I mean, look at the reality. This is not Syria. It's not Libya, and it's certainly not Saddam Hussein's Iraq. This is really the first modern nation that the United States has gone to war against in terms of its capacity and its state institutions since World War II or Korea. And what we would see if the United States did try to launch an invasion is they'd put together a ragtag bunch of thousands of Kurds. That seems to be the plan that they've been putting on the table. There is no organized armed Iranian outside militia to speak of. They presumably would be assuming they would get mass defections, and I think they are dramatically underestimating what the IRGC is and also the fabric of Iranian society. See, when you start to believe your own delusions, when you start to imply that every single Iranian is a prisoner to a dictatorship of a mullah, the rhetoric that these guys use at the Pentagon and at the White House on down, and you start to believe, get high on your own supply, then you start to say, oh, well, if we come in with ground troops and Netanyahu's telling us that the people are going to rise up, you end up on a utter catastrophe where it's not just a quagmire, but you're going to have masses of American soldiers coming home in body bags. I followed the reporting on Zateo on this. I know it's a real discussion that's happening in this administration right now. And I just want to be clear, if the United States does contemplate putting ground troops in, I think it's going to be an utter bloodbath. And I think that there's a reason why Abbas Arachi, who is a PhD, British educated man, who is the foreign minister of Iran, when he was asked on NBC about the possibility of ground troops, he said, we're looking forward to it. I don't think this was just him dunking on that host. I think that there is a sense in Iran among the IRGC, but also among the political echelons and broad parts of the population, that if this is going to be an existential war, then fight fair. Don't launch your missiles from, from ships. Don't come in with your bigger bombers. Send in your troops, send in your crusaders, and let's have this war. I think it's real.
Hey guys, how we doing? Hopefully having a good week so far. I know it's kind of early, but all we can do is hope for the best kind of weeks. The way things are going these days. We'll just jump right into it today. Looks like we're gonna push for boots on the ground in Iran. Apparently, we're not learning our lesson from the 8,000 Americans we've already lost in the Middle East. Apparently we're just going to risk more lives for a country that was not an imminent threat. Don't listen to what people say. I know the news is like, oh, they were an imminent threat and they screamed death to America and blah, blah, blah. I don't side with crazy, but I'm pretty sure we've given them plenty of reason to scream death to America. I mean, we've been slaughtering Muslims for the last 20 fucking years in the Middle East. So let's just be real. If somebody came to America killing anybody, we would go fucking crazy because that's what Americans do. But it's okay for America to defend itself, but it's not okay for Iran to defend itself against America, who clearly broke international law as the aggressor. So, and we can blame Israel for that, as our Secretary of whatever the fuck, Marco Rubio, said that, we knew Israel was going to hit them, and we felt that Iran was an imminent attack to attack our allies in the region and to attack our assets in the region, which we don't know if they would have done that. I highly doubt they would have, but, America and its war machine that always wants to get going and cost us more fucking money, and now we're going to have boots on the ground, and they're going to send them to the Strait of Hormuz. They're going to try to open that back up. There's a little island on there called Cog Island, I think it's called. It's literally like you're sitting ducks in the middle of the fucking strait. So let me just be clear on what's about to happen, okay? I'm assuming they're going to sacrifice the soldiers that we're sending over there. They're going to get slaughtered, not because they're not capable, because our military is fully capable. They're sending special rangers and special units that are very tactical and good at what they do. My confidence is not low in them. My confidence is low in the ability of our government to guide these soldiers into the position to where they have the power to succeed as easily as possible without losing lives. That's my stance on that. The thinnest part of the strait is like 20 fucking miles wide, so they can get shot at from each side of the coast. They can, there's mines in the bottom. So I really don't know how we're going to get soldiers in and out of this area. I really don't. I don't know why we couldn't just have actual peace talks. I don't know why we sent Zionists to do American fucking diplomacy when it's a direct conflict of interest, because Zionists have been trying to go to war with Iran for 40 years. So I really don't think that you can send people who have been wanting to go to war with a country to act diplomatically for your country. I don't think it works like that. Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff were the ones who are doing the talking for the American people, and I don't think that they have the American people's best interest at heart. Okay? I just don't. And there's nothing anybody could tell me to convince otherwise. You can't have people who have an agenda acting like they have your interest, your best interest at heart, because they just don't. I'm just not an advocate for war at all. I think this was a mistake. I've said that from the beginning, and I'll say that till I'm blue in the face. We're going to lose American soldiers, okay? If you thought Iraq was a mess, I just want you guys to know and just hear it first that this is going to be a lot bigger mess if they don't clean it up real fucking fast. Iran is a very, very big country, and it has 94 million people. The West seems to be under the idea that they can insert their little puppet Raza Pahlavi into the Iranian power position, in that they're just going to follow along with this guy who is a fucking traitor to their country. At least if I was from Iran, I would look at him as a traitor to my fucking country, because you're standing in a country that's literally illegally bombing us right now. You're standing in a country that's killed 5 million of us in the last 20 years, and you're trying to tell us that you are the leader of our people. This guy forgets what his fucking family did to the Iranian people back when he ran to get amnesty from the United States. So I really don't understand how you think you're just going to walk into this country and people are going to accept you. You're probably getting your intelligence from the same people that President Trump is getting his intelligence from. So let's just face that. I just want to emphasize so much that I wish nothing but the best for our soldiers. And as much as I advocate against war, I wish our soldiers all of the success. I wish that we weren't over there taking innocent lives. You know, we say we're going to do one thing, and all we end up doing in these countries is taking out one country after another and destabilizing it and leaving it in shambles. And they're left to deal with the rubble, you know. And meanwhile, companies like BlackRock and State Street and Vanguard, they're just making billions of dollars because they'll contract out work to go rebuild these countries and this and that. And they have, you know, supreme investments in everything. So my stance on this war is that it's another war for America to plant another Western puppet inside of a country so that they can rape it for its resources and give the billions of dollars in assets to their friends on Wall Street, you know, the ones who really run the country, because we live in a corporate oligarchy. I don't care what anybody says. That's my opinion. It's my show. I'll say what I want. That's just how I feel. These billionaires, they control everything. All right. It's the top down. They're threatened by money and status. It's how they keep people in line. It's how they get away with things. You know, there's a law that exists for normal people like you and I, and then there's the law that doesn't exist for people who have a substantial amount of money, and they can buy their way out of anything. You know, rich kids do the same drugs that inner city kids do. Rich kids do the same crimes and mischievous things that inner city kids do. And it's the inner city kids that end up locked up and in juvenile, and their whole life is ruined for some mistakes that they made when they were young. Meanwhile, these rich kids will commit the same crimes, even worse. I can't tell you how many stories you see of these rich schools and athletes that get away with abusing these girls or, whatever the hell they're doing, and they get away with it because money is the tool. Like, money is the power. It's the weapon, and that's what they do. And they're stealing our money to do it through our resources, through our time, through our energy, through our labor. They're robbing us blind. And, it's like we feel like we can't do anything about it. But the truth is that there's 355 million of us, okay? And as far as the 1%, it's literally like maybe 4,000 people. We'll call it 10,000. The government itself does have a substantial amount of employees. But if you think about it, if the people ever did start fighting back, the ones in the government and officers and the military, like, this is their family standing up for their country. So, I don't think it should fall on us to have to go first. I think that our military and our police force is more than capable, and they have the tools and everything at hand to do what would be needed to do to steer our country back to the right course. $8.2 trillion is a lot of fucking money. Okay? Most people cannot fathom how much $8.2 trillion. Most people can't even fathom how much $1 trillion is, and it's just insane to me that we constantly go into these wars and like risk our lives, and we end up really with nothing in return, because what do we have at home? Like, we already have veterans freezing to death on the street. We got active military members who can't afford housing. We have food prices that are raising, gas prices that are going up. This was supposed to be stuff that we voted to change, and again, it's another politician and another lie, because that's all they do. They lie, they lie, they lie. That's all they do. So it is what it is. At some point, Americans are going to have to wake up, and they're going to have to demand accountability from their leaders. And it's going to be an ugly time for America in that time frame. It really is. I really don't want to keep focusing on this war, because I know it's everywhere. I want you guys to have real information, and I want you to have an honest opinion about it. And I don't want you guys to be out there being hypocrites saying that this is why we're doing it, when, America itself needs to look in the mirror and realize how much of a terrorist regime and government we really have. Our policies are, the definition of terrorism is to use violence to spread a political ideology or agenda, and that's what we do. Okay, Iran's called Operation Freedom or some shit like that. So, we're not really delivering them a bunch of freedom. We're delivering them a bunch of bombs, and the military-industrial complex is, they're making a lot of money. That's what they do. They've made a lot of money. Maybe my next episode will be into the military-industrial complex and how much money they actually make and how that works. I myself have always been curious about how it works. I'm pretty sure I know how it works. These guys compete bids for government contracts, and then they get these government contracts, but really they're favored government contracts because they probably been spending money on lobbying these fucking government officials to be in charge so they can get private contracts and do things like that. Because, people talk about Iran funding proxies, but they don't bat an eye to Americans funding private contractors who are essentially private proxies that go around doing their dirty work, and they don't have to follow international law or military law because they're technically not in the military and they're not doing anything actively government-wise. It's all black book operations and tactical shit like that, which really ends up destabilizing regions just to give them reasons to go in the region anyways. So, Americans aren't stupid. They play us like we're stupid, but we're not that stupid. We see what's happening here. Problem, reaction, solution, typical American form of control. Feed us with propaganda and bullshit, and then get away with whatever you want. Sending soldiers overseas for yet another pointless war, or wasting more billions and billions of dollars all the time, because that's what we do, is just constantly waste money and never invest money in America. And hopefully when we reach this next election cycle, we kind of do a little bit of electing with our logic and not with our feelings. And let's not just get hasty and start electing the exact opposite of what's in the office, because you're not going to like where that goes, because the crazy left wing is still the crazy left wing, and the crazy neocon right wing is clearly still the very active, very old neocon right wing, who you can't criticize Israel because you're anti-Semitic or you want all the Jewish people to die, which is not fucking true at all. Nobody really believes that, and nobody would ever wish that upon any people. So we can criticize Israel if we want. I don't care whose feelings that hurts. Okay, Israel has been a threat to peace in the region and in the world for a few decades now. And unfortunately, to me, it's the Jewish people who pay the price. They suffer the blowback. They're suffering from the missiles being dropped on Israel right now. And it's unfair to them, honestly, because the average person, just like in our country, doesn't really condone violence, and they don't want people to die, and they didn't want to kill 70,000 people in Gaza. So, the real problem is this Israeli regime that needs to be taken out. It's as simple as that. America's so interested in regime changes, yet they're letting this terrorist regime, who's dragging our president along like a fucking dog on a leash, to do their bidding. They have a uniquely powerful lobby, not just here in America, but all throughout the world. It's very entangled. It's very big. This is what JFK warned us about. It's a giant machine, and it's only grown since someone killed JFK. I mean, we can look at who had the most to gain from him dying. And coincidentally, allegedly, it's the same people who benefited if somebody like Charlie Kirk died. So, I don't know what it is about these public voices that once they wake up and they start calling Israel out, somehow they end up dead. Allegedly, I'm not saying, they had anything to do with it. I'm just throwing out facts that anytime somebody stands against this Zionist machine, they end up with a fucking bullet in their neck or in the back of their head or something, and who knows? Maybe it's just a lone furry who shoots you in the head from a building while wearing khaki t-shirt or khaki shorts and a t-shirt with a 30-06. And then, jumps down with a hot rifle, wraps it in a towel, takes off running, and a few miles later drops it, and then, goes for a jog to his nearby Baskin and Robbins and gets himself some fucking food. So, that boy that's a super hunter right there. And like, we need him in the United States military. We don't need him in the United States prison system. So, I mean, allegedly. So, it's a crazy time. It's a crazy world. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate you listening to me ramble on and rant. This thing really makes me mad, okay? I wish more Americans were mad, and I wish more people would talk about what's happening. Okay, I know that it's a mum subject where we're at work or we're at families' houses, but we can't be afraid to tell the truth, and you can't be afraid to share these facts, even if people demonize you, because do not forget, because Jesus Christ died for telling the truth. All right, so people are going to demonize you because your story doesn't fit their narrative, and what they've been taught their whole lives, or what they've been told, or looking at themselves in the mirror and saying that America is a violent fucking country, okay? And we're hypocritical when we say, oh, these regimes are terrible, they treat their people terrible. Like, bro, we literally kill our own fucking people all the time, dude. Like, literally all the fucking time. The list is so substantial, it's unfucking believable. From nuclear testing in fucking Nevada to police killing fucking kids, all right? It doesn't matter, all right? That doesn't even constitute the violence, human on human violence we have in America, because that violence itself should be classified as fucking terrorism, because it's fucking terrible. All right? So, it's not just all over the world and we're these fucking moral police that have a right to go into these fucking countries, and people are going to be like, oh, like Muslims did 9/11. Like, bitch, 9/11 happened in America by people who had American passports flying American planes who trained in America. That was an American fucking attack on American fucking soil. And our government, who spends the most money in defense in all of the free fucking world, wasn't there to defend us. Why weren't these planes shot down? Where were the jets to be scrambled to take them out of the sky? I'm so confused on how Muslims from Afghanistan can come into America, train, learn how to not fucking fly planes, but do these miraculous moves flying these planes that get them into the location specifically of where they're supposed to be. So either A, it's fucking bullshit and you lied and you did this to us, or B, you didn't fucking do anything and you let them do this to us. So either way, you're fucking responsible. If we blame Muslims and we go over to the Middle East and we kill 3 fucking million Muslims in Iraq, okay, okay, that's just insane. 3 fucking million is half of the goddamn Holocaust, okay? So, but there's no outrage. Like, where's the outrage? Like, these are Muslim lives, people dying, and people are like, oh, Muslims are so violent, oh, they're all fucking terrible. Like, literally, there's 2.2 billion of them. If they were all so fucking violent, we would all be dead. So let's just stop the fucking fear-mongering. Let's stop the fucking racism, because that's exactly what it is. It's racist. It's bigotry. It's fear-mongering, and it's propaganda, and it's simply not fucking true. Because if you want some real numbers, over the last 40 years, okay, 40 years, every single terrorist Islamic action, you can give it all to Iran if you want, okay? All of them, every single one. Every death that ever came from Islamic terrorism in the last 40 years, and it's like 300 to 400,000 people, which is a lot of people, okay? That's a lot of people, but it's 40 years. 40 years, okay? If you take the last 20 fucking years, 25 years since we've been in the fucking Middle East, starting with Iraq, after 9/11, okay? America has murdered 5 to 6 million Muslims, okay? 5 to 6 million Muslims. So you could take all the deaths that they ever committed through violence in the Muslim community over the last 40 years, and it wouldn't even equate to 10% of the amount of Muslims we killed in Iraq. And somehow we're still finding reason after reason to go in the Middle East and waste our fucking money to commit acts of fucking violence and to murder more Muslims. It's insane. It is insane to me. It's absolutely racist. It's absolutely bigotry. And I just can't believe that the world is watching Muslims being slaughtered by this crazy amount of number and nobody says a word. Nobody bats an eye. And we actually come up with reasons to go bomb another country that has more Muslims in it, saying that they were an imminent threat. But they were not an imminent threat to us. Okay? They were not. Iran has no missile that can reach the United States. They've never tried to reach the United States. Okay, yes, they attack us through proxies and stuff like that, but like I said, we've been at war in the Middle East for the last fucking 20 years. How come Iran never jumped in? They're such a terrible fucking country. How come they didn't drop any of those ballistic missiles on our fucking soldiers or our people who were fighting another country? Muslims. They're so fucking terrible. They're such a terrible regime. They're the most violent regime in the whole world or to ever exist. Like, why the fuck didn't they bomb you guys earlier, bro? Like, why the fuck weren't they blowing up Americans when we were over there fighting in Iraq? Or, and even if they were fighting us in Iraq, don't forget, we gave Iran or Iraq chemical weapons to use against Iran. So Iran has had a few reasons to say fuck America, okay? beginning with the fucking fallout before the revolution, because what happened was is they wanted to nationalize their resources, and the American puppet that was in charge said that they weren't going to let it happen. So what happened? A whole bunch of fucking violence happens. They kick out the fucking Ayatollah. They have a fucking revolt. Some kids take over the fucking embassy. It was just some amateurs who took over the embassy, and it ended up turning into this fucking giant fucking ordeal. And you know what they wanted back? They wanted the fucking Ayatollah back. They wanted his ass so they could punish him for what he did. And, you know, and left it at that. Okay? So this was a big problem, because Iran was a military ally for us in the region and for Israel as well. And when they became, you know, erratic because they were mad at that America stuck their nose in their business, and they were mad and they wanted things back, you know. So it's a crazy time in the world. I'm really sad that we're going to send soldiers over there. I pray for these soldiers, and I hope that they make it out of there, because I personally think that they're going to be used as a sacrifice, knowing damn well how hard it is to be in that strait and on that island. And once they get killed, America's going to use it as a catalyst to go into an all-out war with Iran. And we're not prepared for that. I know America's great, and I know we're strong, but we're just not prepared. That's my opinion. You know, we're stretched out thin. We got a lot going on. And I don't want to see Americans die. I don't want to see anybody die, honestly. I'm tired of violence. I'm tired of watching people fucking die. So I think that with all the technology that we have and all the resources that we have, that fighting extremists together would get a lot done, more than just going and bombing countries and leaving it to fall into the hands of extremists to create more extremists, because you just tore apart their fucking country and destabilized it more than it already was. So now they're not only destabilized, but they're picking up family member body parts from the road that you caused, and you wonder why they turn extreme against you. So, you know. Anyways, I just want to check in with you guys. Put those prayers off for our soldiers. Let's pray that they figure out something and they stop sending these two fucking Zionists to try to do our diplomatic conversations, because they're not going to get us anywhere. I appreciate you. I love you. You know, let me know if any of you guys think that I'm wrong, or you'd like to debate, or I said I was wrong somewhere. Like, don't feel, you know, bad to correct me or anything. I'm open for anything. I'm open for conversation and dialogue. I appreciate you. I love you. Just like, share, let people know what we're doing. You know, just show people like, oh, this is what this dude's talking about. See if you ever heard this, or, you know, maybe somebody, you hear a different opinion and you show them mine and you say that I'm wrong, and they want to say like, oh, they want to prove me wrong. Like, I'm open for that too. So, you know, like I said, just like, share, comment, do a few little things for me to try to get it out there. In the end, I'm not in this to be famous. I'm just in it so people can get a raw opinion of somebody who pays attention. You know, I don't just watch the fucking mainstream news or get all this bullshit. I actually read and try to dissect it and try to get as close to the truth as I can. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for stopping in. Like, share, comment. We'll see you next time, all right?